It's official. The United States House of Representatives has officially authorized an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden led by the House Republicans. But as pressure mounts on the former vice president and his son to come clean, we're seeing echo chambers like The View struggling to maintain the same political front to their audience. And as you can predict, the panel has apparently decided to sacrifice all logic and political consistency to come to their defense. Just take a look at this.
So when the House Republicans were asked to explain exactly why they were voting to start an impeachment inquiry into the president, they just seemed to have a hard time with this. Take a look.
What is the specific constitutional crime that you're investigating?
Well, we're having an inquiry, so we can do an investigation and control the production of witnesses.
And what is the crime you're investigating?
And documents. High crimes, misdemeanors, and bribery.
What high crime and misdemeanor are you investigating?
Look, I will, once I get time, I will explain what we're looking at.
What's there to laugh about? An impeachment inquiry is not the same as a trial or a conviction. It's the first step that leads to an official investigation with the House on board, and that's exactly what we saw with the passing of this resolution. I honestly have a pretty low bar for what level of political acumen to expect from The View, but they're struggling to reach even that. And by the way, in that clip from the hearing, Democrat Representative Joe Neguse seems to think he's found the perfect gotcha question for the other side. But let me read you what the US Constitution actually says. In Section 4 of Article 2, the grounds for launching an impeachment inquiry are not exact and precise lists of crimes. It leaves the ground deliberately open and broad because that's the first step to establishing a charge in the first place. Here is what the section states in very plain terms. Quote, "The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors." Whether you agree with the resolution or not, it is impossible to argue that the shadow cast on the current president as it regards his son's foreign business dealings at least warrants an official look before the crucial election next year. High crimes and misdemeanors is a vague term on purpose, and even looking at things like the disastrous pullout of Afghanistan or a potential conflict of interest when Biden was vice president, the resolution for an inquiry is hard to debate on the ground that it's vague. But of course, The View apparently thinks their audience is blissfully unaware of that, which leads to an even more bizarre sympathy plea for the president and his love for his son, Hunter Biden.
All that aside, Hunter Biden, yes, I think he's engaged in corruption. I do think that the charges against him by the Department of Justice are very serious. I have not seen one shred of evidence that it's tied to Joe Biden. Yeah, that's what it comes down to me. And by the way, someone who's no Joe Biden fan, Steve Doocy on Fox News has been hammering James Comer. Yeah. Give me one thing, one piece of evidence. Otherwise, it's a waste of taxpayer dollars.
Joe Biden's crime is being Hunter Biden's father. And being Hunter Biden's very loving father, very good father, very supportive father. Look, did Hunter Biden influence peddle on his last name? Yes, he did. So did half of Washington.
Alyssa Farah Griffin would do well to know that's exactly the line of connection that is vital to probe. Because listen to what she just said. She does believe herself that Hunter Biden's engaged in corruption with his former business dealings. And looking at much of what's been coming up, especially including the explosive speech we covered last week by Representative Byron Donalds in Congress, all there needs to be is fumes of smoke for you to search if there's a fire. Remember, an inquiry is not the same as an impeachment. An impeachment is not the same as an investigation, and an investigation is not the same as a conviction. That's the ladder that Democrat Joe Neguse is missing, as well as the ladies at The View. The current resolution passed is only the first step on the ladder.
32% of Americans have people in their family who have dealt with addiction.
Yeah.
Hunter Biden is an addict. I've had it in my family. It is a constant suffering for the family. And you are always afraid, even when they've left addiction, that anything can trigger them and get them back in there. And I agree with Hunter Biden that that's what they're trying to do. They are trying to get Hunter Biden to go back into addiction because they know that will paralyze Joe Biden, because that is his father, a man who's already lost 2 children. And I think this is going to backfire on Republicans.
I don't get it with this common theme on the panel, reverting to gaining sympathy for his personal life instead of focusing on what the contention actually is. I'm sure we all feel terrible at Joe Biden's personal losses, and I can't imagine the pain he must have gone through losing his children. But that cannot become a shield against talking about some of his politics and the interest of the nation at large. That is true for Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and anyone that wants to run the country and run for political office to be accountable for the people.
They did the Hunter Biden thing in 2020. Go after Joe Biden on policy. Say secure the border, lower housing costs.
Do something like we would normally do it. You know, we would normally say, I don't like your policies and I'm going to try to get you out of office. We didn't do this kind of stuff where we cruelly rammed in people's faces. You know, he said, listen, my dad loves me.
Yeah, but that's not about policy, Whoopi. It's about things that are much more serious in nature. I'm sure the Republicans have a big enough platform both inside the halls of government and outside to be able to counter Biden's policies, but that's not the same as investigating the potential of a misdemeanor where it's not merely about political positions anymore. As it stands now, it's getting harder for me to sit through these clips from The View so you don't have to. But I can't say I'm surprised to see the panel descend in their level of political discourse the more they're pushed against the wall in front of their audience.